Welcome to TYT Sports and Rotowire. I'm Dan Keston, filling in for Ben Mankiewicz and Jason Rubin, the Case Keenum of TYT hosts.
You're concussed also.
Yes, I'm concussed also. This is Chris Liss, managing editor of Rotowire. Special Thanksgiving edition of picks here today. Yep. What we're going to do is we'll pick our usual 4 best bet picks, and then at the end we'll talk about the Thanksgiving games. So let's get started. We have a video from last week. We're going to run through who we had last week. Let's do it. So let's recap them. Chris, you go first.
My picks are Dallas, Pick'em in Miami. I've got Philly at home laying 5.5 against Tampa. I have Seattle at home laying 12.5 against San Francisco. And I have New England at home. Wow, I've got all favorites and 3 favorites and a Pick'em. A week after 12 out of 14 underdogs covered. I've got New England -7 at home against the Bills.
And I have Oakland -2. At Detroit, Jacksonville at home giving 3, Washington getting 7 at Carolina, and Kansas City -3 at San Diego on Sunday afternoon. So there you go. Chris went 2-2-1.
2-1-1.
2-1-1. Excuse me.
Please.
I went 2-2 as Chris predicted. So
Yes.
You not only had a good day predicting the games, you also had a good day predicting my fortunes.
I care more about that actually.
Yeah, I know you do.
Although 2-2, it's an easy prediction because there's more ways to go 2-2 than 4-0. There's
Yeah.
only one way to go 4-0.
There you go.
There's many ways to go.
Like
2-2.
you were saying the 7 when you're
It's
playing
like
craps.
Yeah. There's more ways to get a 7. Yeah.
So what'd you think about those games? Were you pretty happy with those results?
Well, I mean, Philly was not just wrong; it was aggressively wrong.
Yeah, it's time to give up on Philly. Just predicting them.
Yeah,
just let it go.
They're just annoying. I'm going to take them this week probably.
Just why not?
Because it's just like buy low, but they're horrible, and that was a mistake. The other ones were good. I mean, New England, Danny Amendola gets that touchdown that he should have had. I mean, that was the worst refereeing since the Steelers-Seahawks Super Bowl. That was really some of the. I mean, there's many things. So I think whatever. That's a push. That's fine. And I also was right about a couple. I was right about Dallas. That was an easy one.
For me, again, like the game I didn't like out of those was the Washington game, and it's just I'm 0-10 against Carolina this year, so I'm just going to keep picking against them because then when they finally lose, I'll eventually be right.
That's what I did with the Vikings until last week, where I actually took
then
the
you
Vikings
went against them,
and then I lost.
Right, but that's why you got to stick with them. If you're going to go 0-10, go 0-11. What's
Never
the difference?
Deviate.
Yeah, you're in.
Yeah.
But I like KC a lot, and that was obviously a good pick. Jason Rubin screwed me. He made me lay 5.5 on the Jaguars, but it was only -3, so right. I would have at least pushed if they hadn't kicked that field goal at the end. So let's move on to this week. Who do you got this week?
All right, this week I really like the Texans at home against the Saints because the Saints are garbage on the road. I know they fired Rob Ryan, but I don't think that's going to solve all their defensive problems. I think their defense is terrible. Brian Hoyer might be back. That's going to be a big upgrade. DeAndre Hopkins burned Darrelle Revis, and he's going to be able to burn, whatever scrubby QB, cornerbacks, Delvin Breaux, whoever it is, he's okay, but he's still going to torch him. So I just think, with the way their defense is playing, fade the Saints on the road in November outdoors. I just love, it's not like Houston, some freezing, venue, but still, it's an outdoor grass field. It's not as fast. Love the Texans there.
Yeah, I like that. Saints on the road, bad.
Right. And the Texans are good. That game should be like 6 or 7 almost. All right, another one I like is the Giants. I know it's a little bit of a homer pick, but I just think they're better than Washington. They're in first place. I just don't think Kirk Cousins is very good. I think they can get him to turn the ball over a couple times, and they're only laying 2. They basically just have to win the game, so I'm taking the Giants.
But you do like it when Kirk Cousins says, I like that.
What is that his thing?
Oh, you haven't seen that?
No, it was like an internet meme or something.
We'll put it up right here.
You like that? You like that?
Did you like that? You like that?
And then I've got also, I like Pittsburgh in Seattle. I just don't think, you looked last week at the Gabbert-Seattle game, and it was like the Seahawks covered and they won pretty easily. But Gabbert, he didn't throw a pick. He had a touchdown. He moved the ball. He had, 7.2 yards per attempt. He didn't get destroyed in Seattle. And if Seattle's not destroying Blaine Gabbert at home, and they beat him, but they didn't destroy him, it's not the same Seattle team from the last 2 years. Like, that team would have annihilated Blaine Gabbert and those receivers and that team in their own building. And the week before, Arizona lit them up. So I just think Pittsburgh is going to light them up also, and Seattle will score against Pittsburgh, but 4.5 is way too much.
Yeah, we were talking about that before. The Seattle at home factor is, I know it doesn't exist in the same way it used to, but like in my head, like I still think you shouldn't bet against them at home.
Yeah, I don't fear them anymore. And then my fourth one, I was sort of going back and forth on a bunch of these, and I'm not exactly sold on this one, but I'm going to say Jacksonville. If Jacksonville's a 4-point favorite, am I crazy?
You're just going to have to endure the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like last week was no fun for anyone who bet on the Jaguars. So this week will be equally no fun because you have to watch the Jaguars against the Chargers.
Yeah, I won't.
So you have to watch all the people you hate, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Phillip Rivers, all your least favorite people in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true, but there's no chance that Sims and Nance do the game. There's no chance that Buck and Aikman do the game, so you get to avoid that.
Okay, good.
Right?
That's true.
I'm going to have a whole rant about Joe Buck for another segment that I'm going to actually write about. But here's the thing. San Diego is just so bad. I mean, let's just figure out what they are right now. They have the worst offensive line in football. Their top weapons are hurt. Antonio Gates is hobbled. Keenan Allen out for the year. Malcolm Floyd probably out again. They have no weapons. Their defense is terrible against the run. They're last in the league. They're bad against the pass, too.
Yeah. Well, and they have no offensive line.
Yeah, and they have
all
the
their
worst-
offensive line is dead.
Yeah. And their tight ends are hobbled. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like Jacksonville's terrible, and the fact that Gus Bradley kicked that field goal up 3 with a half yard to go, when even Phil Simms saying, I would have just gone for it, when you're past Phil Simms and cowardice, that's like being to the right of Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
It's like you are so extreme and on your own. And Gus Bradley I mean, think about the coaching tree of Pete Carroll, Dan Quinn, Gus Bradley, the decisions they have made in the end game. It's shameful.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
So I'll take Jacksonville. I know it's disgusting, but I think the Chargers are that bad.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. Those are 4 good ones. All right. Well, I have 2 overlaps with you.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to take Houston, which I also like for all the reasons that you said.
Yep.
And I also like the Giants. Again, Giants are on my do not bet list, as you very well know. They're second after Miami Dolphins. But I like them for the same reason you like them, is that I think they're better than Washington.
So you're making an exception to your do not bet list.
Oh,
your do not bet is not very strong.
I'm going to hate myself afterwards.
Yeah.
I've already accepted it. Yeah. Again, I'm just going to hate myself afterwards. Yeah.
All right.
So my other 2 is, I may be wrong, but I love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I like them getting 3 at Indianapolis. Like, I may be wrong, but Indianapolis is not good. Like, what is good about Indianapolis?
Nothing.
Nothing. They have Matt Hasselbeck as quarterback. They have bad defense with Vontae Davis potentially hurt. They don't have a very good coach.
Terrible coach.
No. I mean, they beat Atlanta, but Atlanta hasn't covered in like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So why would I not like Tampa Bay? Like, other than the fact that Lovie Smith retired in 2013, as Ben Mankiewicz likes to say.
Right.
But Jameis looks good. He looks like a leader. They have good receivers. Vincent Jackson's back. They're hard to cover. Their defense looks good. I like Tampa Bay.
I'm buying it. I was going to use them anyway, but not as one of my 4 best. But now you're making me feel more enthusiastic about it.
And the 4th pick, which, again, I already hate myself for, is I'm taking the Cleveland Browns at home against the Baltimore Ravens with no best defensive player, Terrell Suggs, no quarterback, no receivers, no starting running back, nothing left to play for.
Yeah, remember, they lost Nada in the offseason. They lost their first-round pick, rookie receiver. The whole reason they let Steve Smith go, they kept Steve Smith, let Torrey Smith go, was because they drafted Rashad Perriman. He hasn't even played for them. He's out for the year now.
Right.
So they've lost everything.
Off a bye, by the way.
Yeah, off the Browns off a bye.
And when they still lose, I'm going to hate myself.
Yeah, but the thing is, I just think that's a little suckerish because I think everybody's thinking, oh, Matt Schaub's their QB, got to fade.
Yeah. And now I have to watch the Monday night game, which I hate.
Right. I don't know where I'm going to go on that Monday night one. That's a do not.
You just don't want to bet it. So you just want to do something else on Monday night other than have to watch that
Oh,
game.
no. I'll have like some daily fantasy money at stake for sure.
So obviously it's Thanksgiving where there's going to be a little extra football. There's going to be 3 games on Thursday. So while neither Chris nor I picked that, we kind of want to talk through those games as well. So Chris, let's do it. What do you think about the Thursday games?
Yeah, I think you have to have a bet on Thanksgiving. I think if you don't, it's like not betting the Super Bowl. It's like, what's the point? It's like, what's about family? Douchebag relatives and in-laws and stuff you got to deal with without a bet on the game.
Right, then you have to talk to them. You have to have conversations.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Who wants
and
that?
people are like, how was your Thanksgiving? I'm like, I went 2-1. It wasn't bad.
Right,
That's
true.
That's the barometer for Thanksgiving.
That's true.
All right, so let's talk about some of these games. I wouldn't touch any of these unless it were Thanksgiving and I had to.
I would not either.
Okay, I'm going to go Philly. I think it's time to sell on Detroit. It's still Jim Caldwell. It's still Matt Stafford. It's still, sort of like the lowest brain trust in the league between QB and coach probably. And Philly is just so Jekyll and Hyde. It's impossible to know what to do with them. But I'm gonna take them. And I like the fact that they're favored by 1. If you're favored by 2.5 or underdog by 2.5, that swing doesn't matter until you get to 3. And this is sort of saying, please take Detroit to the public. I'm going to take Philly here.
I honestly would never bet on that game in a million years either. But I do not bet on or against Detroit. I just don't. It's one of my rules. So I would just take Philly just for that reason.
Yeah. All right. So but you are betting against them, so you can't really avoid.
But again, I'm clarifying that I would never bet that game for those reasons.
Right. But you will be because it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Carolina at Dallas. Carolina's actually a 1-point favorite on the road. I really don't want to touch this game. I think Dallas with Romo is a top 10 NFL team, and they're at home. But they have almost no home field advantage. But I like fading undefeated teams. I think teams get up for them. I think it's harder to keep that going. They end up getting closer and closer as it goes down. I don't know what I'm going to do there. My inclination is to take, my brain says Carolina, my gut says Dallas. I'm probably going to take Dallas.
Yeah, I should, of course, pick Carolina. As we said earlier, I'm 0-10 against Carolina this year. But that's that reason I'm picking Dallas, because if Dallas wins, I don't want to be on them and go 1-10. Right. I'd rather go 0-11 than 1-10.
Right. I understand. It's like a broken clock's right twice a day, but if the broken clock changes a minute before it was right,
yes,
you don't want to be that.
That's correct.
Okay. And finally, we got Chicago +9 at Green Bay. I'm kind of inclined to take Chicago. I think they're okay. I think they're an okay team, especially if Jeffrey plays. I'd feel a lot better. Green Bay, I think they were kind of down in the dumps, but this decisive win in Minnesota makes them kind of okay, now they're back to getting full credit for who they are. There's no bargain anymore. I think I'm taking Chicago, but I'm not going to commit to that right now.
Yeah. Again, I probably wouldn't bet this game either, but if I had to, I would take Chicago. I mean, 9 is, what is it, 9 or 9.5? Whatever it is.
It's 9 right now.
9. It's Chicago's looked good this year.
Yeah.
Like, they've looked like a competent team pretty much in almost every game this year since the beginning of the season. Green Bay, everyone's going to overreact to what they did last week, but the last couple of weeks before that, they looked really bad. I actually think they're good. I think they're going to continue to be good for the rest of the season. But I think 9 is a lot to lay against a team that's been pretty good.
Right. They could be up 27-13, and the Bears get that that garbage touchdown, the backdoor. I mean, this game has backdoor written all over it.
Yeah.
The only thing is, if Jeffrey doesn't play, I'm a little nervous. And Green Bay has been a house of horrors for Jay Cutler.
Yeah, and he's Jay Cutler.
And well, he's been great this year, but the Green Bay D
Cutler.
took care of Bridgewater. They 6 sacks on him. So
well, let's recap. Who's your 4 again?
Houston is -3 home against New Orleans. I'm taking the Giants -2 at Washington. I'm taking Pittsburgh +4.5 at Seattle. And finally, I think, yes, I'm holding my nose, and I'm taking Jacksonville as a 4-point favorite, probably the most they've been favored in the last, since their inception, 4-point favorite at home against the Chargers.
And I'm also taking Houston -3 at home. I'm taking Tampa +3 on the road. I'm taking the Giants -2 at home. And I'm taking the Cleveland Browns -2.5 at home. Everybody out there, enjoy your Thanksgiving. The true Ben Mankiewicz will be back next week. I'm Dan Kasten from TYT Sports. Chris Liss from Rotowire. Head over there, give him a whatever.
Free trial.
What is it? Free trial?
/trial.
Yeah, you don't sub there, right?
What's that?
No, there's no subscriptions over at Rotowire.
Well, no, there are. No, there are.
Oh, there are?
There are, yeah, totally. We're a pay site, but we give free 10 days, so.
All right, well,
Check
good.
it out.
Well, I botched this outro.
No, don't worry.
But anyways, enjoy your Thanksgiving.
You like that?